The member from Nipissing.
Thank you very much. And yes, it will be good, Minister. Speaker, it's with great regret that I must speak to this motion today. Had the Premier shown even a shred of integrity or desire to elevate the office which she holds, we wouldn't be here discussing this today. But we are, because the Premier traded integrity for a tainted political win in Sudbury. And now she refuses to take responsibility. This much is clear. According to the Chief Electoral Officer, the Liberals have broken the law. A leader with integrity would have taken action. The Premier should have demanded the resignation of her Deputy Chief of Staff and the Chair of the Sudbury Police Services Board for their conduct. If charges are laid against either Sorbera or Lougheed under the OPP investigation, we expect the Premier to do the honourable thing and step aside until the charges are resolved. And if Sorbera or Lougheed are convicted of any charges that are laid, Kathleen Wynne must take the responsibility as Premier and resign. The Premier can continue to issue news releases and deny that the party she leads tried to bribe a potential candidate from running for office, but the report from Elections Ontario says otherwise. She may be talking, Speaker, but she's not answering. She's not answering any of the questions Ontarians need the answers to. Goodness knows we've asked her enough times in the legislature. I think the member from the Liberal Party that spoke said 200 times. He's probably right, yet 200 questions, 0 answers.
Right. Zero accountability.
Her version of the story, Speaker, just does not add up. In fact, we now know from the OPP, much like the gas plant scandal, we now know the facts. And quite frankly, Speaker, the Premier's version contradicts the facts. Again, just like in the gas plant scandal, in the face of hollow promises of accountability and transparency, the Premier is putting the interests of the Liberal Party ahead of doing what is right. It's what she does. It's been her MO. Just like the gas plant scandal, you've got the Deputy Chief of Staff of the Premier's office under OPP scrutiny. Just like the gas plant scandal, you've got senior liberal operatives under the scrutiny of the OPP. Speaker, when does this end? When is this going to end for the people of Ontario? So to be clear, let's focus on the key contradictions here. The Premier has stated she made the decision to appoint Glenn Thibeault by the end of November. She stated this on the record multiple times. Yet, here's her number 2 staffer, the Deputy Chief of Staff, on tape clearly indicating the opposite. So on December 12th, Pat Sorbera said, and I quote, "She's," meaning the Premier, "gonna," future tense, and that's important, "she's gonna have to make a decision around the appointment." So on December 12th, according to the Premier's Deputy Chief of Staff and campaign manager, said the decision wasn't made. So if she says on tape the decision wasn't made, the decision wasn't made. That contradicts exactly what the Premier's timeline has been stated. So it's also clear Andrew Olivier was being offered a range of taxpayer-paid jobs to drop out of the nomination. Again, I'll quote Pat Sorbera, quote, whether it's a full-time or a part-time job in a Constitut office, whether it's appointments, supports, or commissions, quote. And Jerry Lougheed said, quote, the Premier wants to talk to you. They would like to present you options in terms of appointments, jobs, or whatever that you and her and Pat Sorbera could talk about. Lougheed is also clear on December 11th that nothing's been decided. Again, contradicts what the Premier has said on numerous occasions. Let me quote what's on the tape from him. You need to say, so why would Andrew Olivier be motivated to do this? It gets down to, otherwise, guess what? I'm going to go sell memberships and see what my chances are. So the option on December 11th is still, you may go and sell memberships, which means there was no decision made. The option to sell memberships is still there, and again, that contradicts what the Premier has stated time after time. Look, the Chief Electoral Office is clear. He wrote, quote, I am of the opinion that the actions of Jerry Lougheed Jr. and Patricia Sorbera amount to apparent contraventions of subsection 96.1e of the Elections Act. That reads, no person shall directly or indirectly give, procure, or promise, or agree to procure an office or employment to induce a person to become a candidate, refrain from becoming a candidate, or withdraw. On page 8 of the Chief Electoral Officer's report, he writes, quote, I have to be satisfied that there's more than simply a fair probability that there's been a contravention before concluding that any possible contravention has reached the threshold of being apparent. Speaker, there's no question the standards of integrity and accountability of the Premier's office have been breached. Yep. I support this motion of our leader Jim Wilson and call on the Premier to follow some advice from her predecessor, who once famously quipped, it's never too late to do the right thing. Thank you, Speaker.